My name is Jim Edwards, and this is the story of the second UFO I ever saw. When I was growing up, we used to spend a lot of weekends up at a farm that belonged to my father's cousin, north of Lufkin, about 18 miles near the town of Pollock. Now, the farmhouse was on top of a hill facing north that looked over to another hill top that was about a mile away. So there was a shallow valley between the two hilltops and a road that ran down the middle between the two hilltops that had a ditch on the opposite side of the road from our house and the barbed wire fence that crossed it. And there was just open field up to the top of the other hilltop and woods to the right and left of those fields. And there wasn't another house for a mile in either direction. And on behind the hill were just woods, which we frequently hunted squirrel in, so I knew them pretty well. Now, when we stayed at the house, I had to sleep with my father's cousin, Joe, who, if you ever saw the movie Brother, Where Art Thou, George Clooney's character was Joe. At least as I remember Joe today, that's kind of the character that I would say he was. And his bed in the room, which actually had two beds in it, another cousin, little Bob, who was the sharpshooter and hunter in the family, he slept in the other bed, and there were windows on the east side of the house, and the beds were up against each window. And so Joe's bed was in the corner of the room that had the two windows facing the north side of the house that went the lengthwise or lengthways of the bed, and then we had a big window at the head of the bed. Well, Joe would always make me sleep against the windows, and particularly on cold nights like this was, because basically I was a barrier between the window and the cold coming in through the glass. Well, that was the case this night, in which during the middle of the night I woke up and I'm just naturally facing the window and looking out, and I see across to the top of the hill there were two lights, which I took to be headlights of a pickup truck. And I'm wondering who's up on the hill at night. We wouldn't be hunting. I mean, you wouldn't hunt squirrel up there at night, and so I'm wondering who's driving around up there. And then suddenly the lights start coming down the hill towards our house, and I'm still wondering who is this in the pickup truck going across the field there. And they're coming down and getting out to the barbed wire fence and the ditch and the road, and it goes right across where I know there's a barbed wire fence and a ditch. Now, I could understand a pickup truck being able to run over a barbed wire fence, but getting across that ditch just wasn't possible. We didn't have the big jacked up trucks you see today back then. This is early 60s. And then it starts coming up the road. Well, I'm thinking somebody's coming to the house, and I start waking up Joe. But Joe is just not waking up, and I can't get him to wake up. Meanwhile, this truck comes on up into the yard, which the yard was a big kind of parking area in front of the house that people would pull in and park their cars and pickup trucks. And these lights, I'm visualizing and thinking in my mind like the big round lights of the old cars. But later I realized that these lights had to be 4 or 5 feet across. And but at that moment, I'm still thinking pickup truck lights and lights like on an old car. And then one turns off, the other stays on, and then it alternates. The other one turns off, and the other one comes back on. And I'm wondering, as this does so several times, what kind of car or pickup truck can do that? I'd never seen, a car with more than just one switch for the headlights. Maybe this one was special and had a switch for each light, but then I'm wondering why would they do that? And this is just, I'm trying to figure this out as a kid laying there, and I touched the glass again, and um, just as I'm watching, and it's cold, and I pull my hand off again. I'm very clear I'm awake, and I start to get scared. Um, and so I try to wake Joe up again, and he's not waking up. And I call over to little Bob, and he's not waking up, and I can't get them to wake up. Meanwhile, the flashing on and off, which wasn't happening quickly, it was several seconds between each flash, stopped, and both lights were on, and then suddenly, they just go off to the right, and I turn, I look out the window at the head of the bed, I see them go fly over the barbed wire fence to the field, and over the one tree in the field, and off into the sky and gone. And I realized that what I was watching was not a pickup truck, and I laid there for quite a while trying to figure out what they were, and eventually I fell on back to sleep. Now, years later, as an adult, I had a hypnotic regression of this event, and supposedly, in the moment that I was feeling fearful, two what we call today gray alien type beings were coming into the house and coming into the bedroom, and I was really scared. But I didn't remember anything beyond that in the regression. Now that, I obviously don't know whether that occurred or not, but what I've described here about seeing these UFOs coming down the hill and flying off, all that absolutely is as I recall it. Thank you.